trying to find you on YouTube.
Oh, well, it should be there now, as we are now live.
Really?
Yes, we are. We just went live. You can't find us on YouTube, Joe.
I found you. I found you just now.
Okay, very good.
Good.
Welcome, everybody, to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Monday night, the 11th of May, 2020. And it's a little bit of a late start tonight. We usually start at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, but it was my grandson's 2-year-old birthday. So we did a Zoom video thing where we sang him a happy birthday while he played with his new garbage truck.
Okay. Usually, a lot of kids, 2 years old, they get fire trucks or
Well,
uh,
he got a Mack truck
a Mack truck
that
or a S truck.
that had all these little truck cars inside the Mack truck. And I think from his other grandpa and grandma, he got a I think it's a Wawa truck, but he calls it a garbage truck. Garbage
Okay.
trucks are cool. I mean, those are. I used to be fascinated by them as a kid when they put the trash in and the one thing would go up and then the other
Right.
thing would go down and all the trash would
Uh,
disappear.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So, no doubt that we came off, we talked about this yesterday, of course, on the Sunday morning show with regards to the crazy weather. And in a sense, now we're going in the other direction. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking Friday, if we get enough sun and with a west wind and the cold front keeps the showers away until late in the day or Friday evening, we probably could break. We should be able to break 80, I think, in many locations.
Well, I'm a little, a little more conservative. I said approaching 80 degrees, but no matter which way you slice it, Joe, today, tomorrow, Wednesday, even Thursday will be a bit below normal, and then all of a sudden, like we're flicking a switch, we go right into a summertime weather pattern for Friday and probably right on through the upcoming weekend.
Well, I don't know. I thought we might get back door, with that. There is a front going by on Friday, and there's a little bit of a high that builds down from the north. I'm not so sure about Saturday and Sunday. I also didn't look at the European with all with too much interest. I'm just taking a look here. This front goes through here Friday. We'll come back to this and we'll show everybody. I'm just peeking. I mean, the weekend actually doesn't looks okay. Wait a minute. I'm a little bit too far ahead. Hang on a second. Front goes by. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit cooler Saturday and Sunday. I don't think it'll be like what we're seeing for tomorrow, where temperatures are going to have a tough time getting out of the 50s. But you know,
Well,
we'll
I,
see.
I see 4 days, 4 consecutive days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even next Monday, where the temperature should reach to at least 70. Now, I'm not talking about 80 every day, but
Right.
at least 70 or higher for 4 consecutive days. And we have not done that around here since the 29th of September through the 2nd of October. So it's been a while, 7.5 months, since we've had a stretch of nice, mild weather like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that will come after this stretch of, again, coolish weather, even chilly weather that we'll have here for not only tonight and tomorrow, but Wednesday and Thursday as well.
There's also we continue to see the models hinting at the prospect of maybe a subtropical or well, more likely a subtropical system, but there's always a chance that it could even become a wholesale tropical system. But nonetheless, it would be the fourth time in the last 5 years, if we do wind up with a subtropical or tropical storm, a named system, that we would have had one in the month of May. And of course, I didn't read the article. I saw some article posting about maybe it's time they extend the Atlantic hurricane season to mid-May. I don't know if that's a if that's okay. So we've had 4 out of 5, but over the long haul, most of the time we don't see tropical systems in the month of May. So do you react based on some short term? Uh,
It, well, it's weird that you're right. We have had, in the last 5 or 6 years, we have had more than our fair share of tropical systems that have popped up in the month of May. But then we go into a long-term lull or slack through a good part of June, July, and we don't see anything happen really until sometime in August, later in August, and that's when the hurricane season or the tropical season really begins to rev up, so to speak. It seems kind of weird. I think they just keep it at June 1st because, um, nothing really happens until the waters begin to warm and until we start really seeing action mid or late August.
Right.
It makes no sense to me to just go back a couple of weeks just simply to put it into the month of May.
No, and again, it's only in the last it's 4 out of the last 5 years. That could he just as easily shut off, and then you don't see anything in May for decades. Because I know, as you and I, May storms are pretty rare. Plus the fact that, look, if you do wind up seeing this, I mean, odds are it'll be something that stays offshore, and then if it starts as it starts to get further north, the ocean water temperatures just north of the Bahamas are cooler. And this is sort of like open speculation. We're not even there yet. Nothing's going to happen to the end of the week. So let's go. Let's talk first things first with respect to tonight. And we've got a cold front that's moved on through. And I've got the map with the latest the 7 p.m. temperatures here. So we're already seeing temperatures down in the 30s in much of central and western and northwestern Pennsylvania, and then up in southwestern New York. There's all sorts of freeze warnings tonight that are up. A pretty large area, Joe. This is we're at May 11th, and the growing season is well underway now in the Mid-Atlantic states, and you're talking about freezes down all the way into northern South Carolina. This is not a good thing. They grow peaches in South Carolina and in Georgia, and this is a critical time. So the last thing they need to see is some sort of either a killing frost or a freeze. The light blue on this map, folks, is where the freeze warnings are up tonight. I don't know why the 3 counties in Pennsylvania are left out. Sometimes on this digital display, it misses stuff. The darker blue is all frost advisories, and we're seeing some frost advisories in northern New Jersey, parts of southern New Jersey, and also in southeastern Pennsylvania, south central PA, down into northern Virginia. Cold night ahead.
And certainly it's coming up to uh, schedule here because tonight is the first night of and we mentioned this, what, about a week or two ago, the three chilly saints of May, where supposedly these three saints, please don't ask me to pronounce the names correctly, but each saint for May 11th, 12th, and 13th supposedly coincided with the latest uh, time frame of let's say an unusual chill down. Uh, they often said that you have to wait until after the three chilly saint days are over, and that would be after Wednesday of this week to start planting because in earnest. Some people say that they prefer the Mother's Day rule. Don't ever plant anything until after Mother's Day, which of course was yesterday. But it looks like this year we're going to have to wait until the last of the chilly saints day moves on, which will be on Wednesday. After that, it looks like things will finally begin to warm up, and for more than just a day or two.
The three chilly saints, by the way, are Memeritus, Pancras, and Gervais.
Okay.
The
Is that
descendant.
like is that like Ricky Gervais?
Well, I was going to say probably a descendant. Three early Christian saints, because their feast days on 11th, 12th, and 13th, respectively, are traditionally cold. They have come to be known as the three chilly saints. An old French saying goes, and then it cuts off. Saint Memeritus, and then it's the rest of it just cuts off, so I can't see. I can't see the rest of this saying. But the
Yeah, but it doesn't always happen. I mean, there have been Mays in the past which have been abnormally mild, and you say to yourself, how did they possibly name three days the chilly saint days when it's like 80 degrees?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
but
not everything. Obviously, you're not going to worry about this if you lived in Florida. So
obvious,
you have to you wonder whether maybe this is something that's come out of the mountainous areas in eastern France. I don't know. Don't know the origins of that. I can tell you that at least for tonight, we're looking at lows mostly in the 30s, except from southern New England all the way down into interior Virginia and into also Western North Carolina, seeing some numbers here. Asheville 36 for a low, Blacksburg 33, even some 20s, and that's got to be in elevated areas as you get back into parts of Western Virginia. So look, if you've got some tender vegetation out there, particularly where you've got any kind of frost advisories up, you might want to just take note of that, uh, because you don't want to. If you just put them in the ground, you don't want to lose them. Just toss some straw on them. That usually protects them from any kind of frost. Meanwhile, we had some showers and storms. I don't know about you, Mr. Rayo, but I had a few rumbles of thunder here earlier this evening. The last arm now seems to be moving out of upstate New York and through western New England. So looks like most of the showers are done. We had a marginal risk of severe weather. I didn't see any severe weather warnings that went up. I wasn't watching nonstop, so I might have missed it. But looks like there's a big cell right now, just up I-80. What is that? I'm sorry. Is that 91? That's 91 in Connecticut that goes up into Massachusetts and then eventually to New Hampshire. There's looks like there's some kind of big cell there in South, it's running right along I-91.
Yes, indeed. I did not have any thunderstorm activity in my immediate area, although at 1:30 this afternoon, the National Weather Service did put out a special, and that wasn't even a special weather statement. It was just kind of like an alert that northern Westchester and portions of eastern Putnam County would be in line for a strong thunderstorm. The sky got dark here for a few minutes around that time. In the listing of places in cities or towns that they expected the storm to affect, my city, my town, Putnam Valley, was actually in the list, but we never saw anything. And I kind of scratched my head when I saw that because Putnam Valley, if you know Putnam County, Putnam Valley is in western Putnam, and this particular thunderstorm was categorized for northern Westchester and eastern Putnam. In any case, we didn't get anything here. I can tell you, however, that other places in and around our area not only got thunderstorm activity, but even pea-sized hail.
Yes, I did get one of my one of our regular watchers, Joe Mayano, messaged me about 6:30 tonight, and he kind of uh, marveled at the fact that he went from seeing snow on Saturday to hail on and hail today. Really, Joe, we only have locusts, man-eating locusts. That's what I'm looking for. That's the next thing.
Or maybe an earthquake.
No, let's not. Earthquakes. We've done earthquakes. We need something
Well,
exotic.
we've done tremors before,
Mm-hmm.
but about 10 years ago, well, it was the same year that we had Katrina. What year was that?
Oh,
20
five.
Oh, 05. Okay, more than 10. 15 years ago on News 12, I did a two-part series where I interviewed Klaus Jacob of the Lamont Doherty Earth Sciences Center in Palisades, New York, where they had this huge seismograph. And Klaus Jacob was into seismology, and he says that we're overdue for an earthquake in the tri-state area, mind you, of greater than 5.5 Richter magnitude. And he says that because we had two actually, in the 1730s and again in the 1880s, where we had a strong earthquake of 5.5. And if we were to have that now, our infrastructure would not be able to withstand something like
Yeah.
we
I,
would have.
I'm thinking with everything going on, that would not necessarily be a good idea, you know, to have
Well,
that now.
but people, I went on, I played the role of man on the street for that report. I just stopped people on the street and asked them, what do you think about the possibility of a major earthquake in the Hudson Valley? And a
Hmm.
lot of people had the same comment. Here? No, maybe a little rumble, but
And then there was that one woman that just walked up to you and said, "How dare you remind me of somebody I hate?"
yeah, yeah. So that's all we could use. That's all we need now is an earthquake, a significant or sizable
Yeah,
earthquake.
let's not go down that road. We do
Right.
have some severe weather going on over parts of the U.S. tonight, and just a point.
Why do I get the impression that sometime that sometime later this week on national news they're going to have this conversation on the air and they say even before the major earthquake there was some reference.
Yeah.
This person made a reference to it.
Yes, but with our luck, they'll superimpose they'll superimpose our mortal enemies' faces over our bodies and give them credit. We got a lot of rain going on tonight over parts of Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri, and also seeing some thunderstorms firing up. We're seeing some thunderstorms firing up in eastern New Mexico, moving into West Texas, and that's where SPC has got the action tonight with respect to risk of severe weather. It's just a marginal risk that they're. Hold on, let me go back. I'm sorry, I got the wrong page up. That's for tomorrow. The risk for tonight, they actually have a slight risk in eastern New Mexico and West Texas. Tomorrow, we go to the marginal, small areas of marginal risk in two small areas of Texas. And then as we move on into Wednesday, into Thursday morning, we see SPC is fairly bullish on severe weather from northwest Texas on up through Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, and even into parts of Iowa. So mainly southern and central plains for the day three outlook. So uh, one of the things, Joe, I'm noticing on WPC's 7-day rainfall forecast, a couple of things. First off, uh, big rains for the southern plains up through the middle Mississippi Valley and into the Ohio Valley. This is again from now until this is from 0Z tonight, which we're at right now. It's 1 minute past 8 o'clock to 0Z a week from now. 3 to 5 inch rains from the eastern half of Texas all the way up into southern Iowa and then east across Illinois and Indiana. I also want to point your attention, folks, to this big area of rain that's being indicated of 3 to 5 inches or more off the Florida East Coast and across the Bahamas. Now, this isn't going to be in response to what the models seem to be picking up, which will be disturbed weather that'll be south of a building upper high off the southeast coast late this week. And it's from this that we may wind up seeing something develop. Also, big rains to the Pacific Northwest from Washington down into Northern California, 3 to 5 inches worth of rain. And also notice, by the way, in between the area of rain in the Ohio Valley and the rain off the Florida coast is this rather large dry patch that runs from central and northern Florida all the way up into southern New England, where rainfall amounts over the next 7 days are actually forecast to be on the order of 1/4 of an inch or less. So it looks like we finally at least have one thing about this week, the rest of this week, Joe, for much of the northeast and the mid-Atlantic states, is that uh, at least for the next 4 days, we have no rain to worry about. So that's a good thing. I mean, at least not till late Friday.
Right. And may I also say that on Friday, I think we'll probably see in the mix the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms, as was the case today. Whether or not they attain strong to severe criteria is yet to be seen, but there probably will be some rumbles of thunder thrown in Friday and maybe spilling over into early Saturday. Although I think Saturday looks dry and maybe we'll see a hit or miss thunderstorm on Sunday, but most of Sunday should be dry as well.
All right, so looking at the upper air, going to start with SPC's HREF. I like this loop because it looks really good. I think it really illustrates very well when we talk about the upper air. And of course, we've got this trough that's swinging through the east tonight and into tomorrow. Then that moves out. Now we've been saying the last few days that once that trough moves out on Wednesday, there's no follow-up system coming down from the northern stream. So the upper air pattern is actually in the process of relaxing quite nicely. You have a trough off the east coast, you have a trough off the west coast, and there's a bit of a ridge that builds up in the up the middle and upper Mississippi Valley. That ridge is going to be translating itself eastward as we go through the end of the week, and it's going to allow, with Canada being cut off from the cold air, we're going to finally get those temperatures back where they're supposed to be. Here's what it looks like on the wide view. And let me run this back here. So just to show you at least from the standpoint of where we are. Now, this was yesterday, and there's your flow out of Canada. You've got this big upper low sitting over uh, eastern Labrador. You've got the next short wave. That's the one that moved through today. But finally, we get that to pull out, and you see how the upper features just kind of go west to east across the U.S. The flow from Canada is cut off. It stays up in Canada, and you've got this westerly flow. So we finally got the upper pattern in a way that we could at least get temperatures back up to near normal. And the other thing to watch is you see off the southeast coast, folks, right there, there's this upper low that forms right in here. This is where, we start to see some sort of surface development that occurs. And the thing is, even if it does, something does come of it, it's more than likely that the upper flow is going to be westerly enough and just kind of kick it away, or maybe it just sits off the coast and falls apart. If something were to develop from this, and I'm not 100% sold on whether it will or it won't, at least not yet, but I think the possibility is there for something to happen late this week.
Well, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and if it looks like a tropical system, and if it shows any kind of a warm core, so to speak, then they just might as well just say, well, why don't we name it? And you know what? They don't even do now that they're naming subtropical storms or giving them names. So
Yeah,
being a tropical system.
there are a few people that have brought this subject up, and Joe, you and I come from a day where sometimes it was like pulling teeth to get them to go to name a storm, and there were a number of systems in the 70s and and into the middle 80s at least. There were a few systems that were made tropical storms in post analysis. I can remember one of them in particular. I don't remember what year it was, but it was definitely in the late 70s or early 80s. Some kind of system developed north of 35 degrees north. They really weren't paying any attention to it, and all of a sudden there were 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts over eastern Long Island and southeastern New England, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we missed that one, you know. And then they wind up doing something. They wind up in post analysis and saying, well, you know what? But look, to be fair, that was a different time. The technology wasn't always there. There were times, and you and I both remember in that time period where you had very little access to satellites to begin with, and you would get these blackout periods every once in a while because something would break, and it's not like today where they could fix things readily for the most part. So you would lose satellites for days at a time sometimes.
They used to call subtropical storms or subtropical cyclones. Um, in fact, they even refer to it as a new but rare beast in the meteorological menagerie of storms called a neuter cane.
Oh, that's
And that
that term goes back to when we were kids.
and it has some characteristics of a tropical and an extratropical cyclone. As early as the 1950s, in fact, meteorologists were uncertain whether they should be added or whether they should be characterized as tropical or extratropical cyclones. And didn't they, in the aftermath, categorize the perfect storm, the Halloween storm of 1991, as indeed a tropical system?
You know what? I think they did. I think there was a tropical system that developed like inside the core of the big upper low that was involved. I remember reading that somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if they actually gave it a name in post analysis
I
or
think
not.
they said it. I think in the movie they said it swallowed Hurricane Grace, or actually it did. In reality, I think it absorbed Hurricane Grace. In the movie, they give you the impression that it merged with Hurricane Grace,
Well,
which
merging is far more exciting to do than wait, no, I better not go down that road. I just realized. Stop. Never mind. Stop.
let's let's just move on. Move on, Joe.
Oh God, we want to keep this a G-rated program, and I get that. Um, oh God. Oh, hold on. I want to just check something here.
Now you know why in the movie they said that it merged with instead of doing the other thing.
Okay,
It,
so according to Wikipedia, which we know is gospel, uh, it said also known as the No Name Storm, especially in the years immediately after it took place. And the Halloween gale slash storm was a nor'easter that absorbed Hurricane Grace.
absorbed. Okay.
Absorbed.
Yes.
Um, and ultimately evolved into a small unnamed hurricane itself late in its life cycle. So,
Okay.
so, well, now if it absorbed the remnants of Hurricane Grace, if they could track the remnants, if they can track the remnants along the way, they could argue that it was Grace reborn. But you know what? It was what it was.
Yes.
Yes, it
I'm
was.
not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna continue on this note.
No, I already got myself into trouble. So, so here we go. Take a look at the. We'll take a look at the GFS for the rest of the week, and of course, you see the possibilities of severe weather going into Wednesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday back in the plains, and then, of course, with the high moving off the coast. Now, there you can also start to see disturbed weather. I'll run it back starting from Wednesday night, Thursday. You start to see some showers and thunderstorms developing in the Florida Straits and back to the Bahamas, and you've got the surface high that's up to the north off the North Carolina coast. The GFS and to a lesser extent the European. European has been kind of coming and going with it. It's there in some runs. It's a little more obvious than others, but the GFS does spin this low up. You see it here, and then on this particular run, it has it a little closer to the North Carolina coast by Sunday afternoon, and then just kind of meanders offshore and just sits there and falls apart. Yeah, these the ocean water temperatures for the Bahamas South, Joe, are probably close to threshold to be supported for a subtropical or a tropical system, but it's still a little bit cool. Even though the water temperatures are about a degree above normal off the North Carolina coast, in terms of raw numbers, it's still under 26 C, so it's probably not overly supportive for a tropical a tropical cyclone, maybe a subtropical one, but not a tropical one. Anyway, it's like again, it's all speculative at this point. And here's your
Yes.
front that comes through. Uh, there's one that comes through on the GFS late Friday with some showers and storms, and as you pointed out, maybe it'll we'll see if SPC is interested in this later in the week. And then there's another one that approaches late Sunday night, a weaker one, late Sunday night, early Monday morning, and then we're marching along, and before you know it, it's going to be Memorial Day weekend.
Well, Memorial Day weekend was is one weekend after this weekend, um, and we're just coming off a weekend where we had snow. So it's been a weird month already.
Well, what did we say last week? We would go to, before we'd go from we've go from record cold and snow to probably 80-degree temperatures within a week to maybe a a named tropical system. I want to just going to bring this up here. One of the things I did happen to look at I was looking at the upper air out in the in the Southwest Atlantic. I think I'm going to have to get a better the different view here. Let's go to the North Atlantic view. I did notice that when you look at, I always like when we start looking at the tropics, we always like to look at uh, the winds in the upper atmosphere to see regarding light winds in the upper atmosphere, and that is an environment that can be supported for tropical cyclone development, assuming that there are other things going on that match up. And on the map that I got in front of you, this is showing wind shear from say 5,000 feet all the way up to 30,000 feet, and we're talking about wind speeds increasing with height, and they're very strong, uh, 45, 50 knots or stronger as we start off the week. But if you watch toward the end of the week down in the Bahamas, right there, you start to see this area of light upper air wind shear develop. It's not it's not anything exceptional, but it might be enough to be supportive, and maybe that's why the model's picking up on the possibilities. Also, there's some troughing that's showing up in the upper air inland of the East Coast. If we put the 500 millibar map up, you can kind of see it here, folks. There's this upper low that's off the southeast coast that forms, and you've got the jet across the U.S. in this, kind of going west to east. So this upper low that forms right there just sort of separates itself from the main flow, and this is where you wind up possibly seeing something come of it. At this stage, it's way early in the game, and we'll wait till we get to Wednesday or Thursday. Perhaps we could be a little more definitive on whether something's going to happen or not. And again, there's nothing that even suggests that it would be cause any major issues anyway. It'll just be of interest to us weather folk.
Indeed.
And of course, that it'll be of interest to us weather folk and the major media networks who will, of course, run the headlines with the accompanying story about the season's first tropical storm forming off the southeast coast, potentially threatening 75 million people from Florida up to Virginia or whatever they want to say, or the Bahamas, or maybe they'll make the Dorian link and saying tropical storm forms in the exact area that Hurricane Dorian uh, developed.
Oh, they'll look for something to hook on so that
Right.
it'll make it interesting to or to get.
Well, to get somebody to click on it and then deep in
Yeah,
the article and say, but the hurricane, there'll be a paragraph, there'll be a sentence that says, but the Hurricane Center doesn't think this is going to amount to anything.
right.
I'm sorry. This is a time of year where sometimes you're kind of grasping to talk about, we have a number of interesting meteorological things going on. Um, you know, so but at the same time, we don't have major storms running around the U.S. So we're sort of grasping to find stuff to talk about. So it's kind of interesting that we do have this possibility, but no matter. Uh, so
Anyway,
there. You have we're back full screen. We're going to go to the chat board. I want to do which super chat tonight. You can see it. I can't see it yet. Can you see it?
I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. Yes, here it is. Tonight's super chat is Paul Roman. Joe and Joe, courtesy of the president's stimulus, more than four the education
Thank you.
and accurate forecasting information. And Paul kicked in 25. So that's
Thank you
enough.
very much, Paul. Thank you so much. Both Joe and I appreciate it. By the way, should mention the fact that tomorrow night was going to be the my virtual library appearance at the Westwood Library, but we're not. It's been canceled. Didn't get enough people to sign up, so that happens sometimes. And we'll see what happens maybe down the road. So no library talk tomorrow night, which means that we're going to be here anyway because I was going to I was going to broadcast it anyhow. So
Oh,
tomorrow will just be a normal show.
we would have all heckled you, Joe.
I'll bet. Um, so we got Johnny Quest has Quest Jeopardy tonight,
Okay.
and I'm going to find it as soon as I can get my page to reload. There we go. Uh, so I assume after yesterday's live shot, by the way, you had a wonderful weekend. The rest of your Sunday, anyway.
What did we do yesterday? What did I? Oh well, my son, my daughter, my future daughter-in-law, they came over and we had a nice afternoon, and then they left, and then it was back to the same old routine last night, and it'll be the same when I get off here now.
Okay.
Back
Uh,
so we sit there like mom, pop kettle watching television again.
yes. All right. So here it is. The tonight's question is which type of lightning bolt is more powerful, a negative charge or a positive charge?
I didn't really ever
Now,
give.
when I saw the question, my immediate response was that whichever one is stronger really doesn't matter because you're going to get fried by either one anyway.
Right, it's what, 5 times more times hotter than the surface of the sun, or
Something to that effect.
something like that. If I get
Yeah.
hit with if I get hit to 50,000 degree bolt, be it positive or negative, it's going to be a very negative finish to one's life.
So
I,
you
I
you have a choice. You can guess.
I'll say I'll,
Hang on a second. And now it's back. That
okay.
that hasn't happened in a few days. Well, that's a good thing. So yeah. So
Positive
the
because when you charge a battery, your car battery, you're supposed to take the thing and put it on the positive terminal,
right.
and the other thing's supposed to go on the negative, the ground or whatever. So I'll say
Correct.
positive.
Well, yeah. The positively charged. The anvil is positively charged, and if a section of the ground is negatively charged, then you have a bolt from anvil to ground.
Right.
Okay, and
And,
that's far worse than a negatively charged bolt.
right.
Okay, neither of us have any plans to be charged anytime soon. so that's a plus. Now every the one of the big one of the bigger stories in the news tonight, of course, was the passing of Jerry Stiller. And you have a Jerry Stiller story that I think you might want to share with everybody.
Well, yeah, I mentioned this on Facebook. I only met Jerry Stiller just once in my life, and that was way, way back. That was over 40 years ago, and at the Mohonk Mountain House. Some of you may be aware it's a resort up in the Catskill Mountains. And back then, I used to put together for the Mountain House a stargazing or astronomy program. One of the people that I had as a as a lecturer who was some we signed on as a person to give a talk for that program was Dr. Fred Hess. And I don't know if you remember, Joe, but Dr. Fred Hess used to be the science editor, and he used to do the weather on Pix 11. He was before even you in the late 60s and early 70s on Pix 11. I think those are the days of the Harper News on Channel 11.
Yeah, I don't have a big memory. I don't have a memory of him. The name doesn't really ring a bell.
But anyway, he was also a longtime lecturer at the Hayden Planetarium. And if you ever Fred Hess lecture or give a talk, he was a great teacher. He won many awards for teaching. He taught at the SUNY Maritime College at Fort Schuyler underneath the Throgs Neck Bridge.
I remember. I know the school. Like you and I both grew up near there.
Right. And so he was giving a talk on eclipses of the sun and how magnificent and what a wondrous sight a total eclipse of the sun is to see. This was in a building called the Council House. There were about 100 people inside the Council House. So he begins his talk. It was a slide talk. 5